Hey everybody, this is Dr. Maples. So we're going to continue our research method lectures. I want to point out a few things before we get started. So the first half of this semester is learning a lot of ideas, terminology, and language, and basic ideas that we're going to now start putting into practice. And I appreciate your patience in working through those ideas in those lectures, and even your first two assignments, letting you practice those. Even if you don't feel confident in your answers right now, feel confident that you will understand how to do these things by the end of the semester. And the way that we learn them is by practicing. Even if you get them wrong the first time, that's okay because that's how we learn. So you're going to see that as I grade your two assignments, I'll correct things and suggest things as needed to help you feel on target. What we're now going to do is have 4 lectures in a row that give us very specific ways that we study our society, starting today with survey analysis. Now, with each of these, you're going to have a chance to actually practice them. You'll be able to pick 2 of the 4, so you can pick surveys and interviews, which is next, or you can pick the last 2 or some combination, whatever you like, but you'll have 4 options, and you'll have 2 assignments where you'll get to put that activity into practice. You get to learn how to do those things. Now, for each of these practices, you'll be building on the things that you've already learned, like building hypotheses, creating sociological research questions, and so forth. But you'll only do 2 of the 4. And they're worth a lot of points, so make sure and spend some extra time on those. In fact, that's the bulk of what we'll do in October and the earliest part of November. If you have questions about those assignments, please contact me. I'm here to help. Likewise, swing by my office hours and I can help you with those as well. But let's get started on surveys. Surveys are an area where sociologists really do well. Truth be told, I think in terms of disciplines, we do surveys better than any other discipline out there. And that's some stiff competition coming from a lot of different fields. Why do we do those better? Well, we understand the people in our society better than anyone. We understand also ideas like diversity, social organization, classifications and rankings, and more. So we just have a better knowledge set for doing surveys. I want to point out too, surveys are a great area where my students, both undergraduates and graduates, can make money. I have students in the past who have paid the bulk of their rent each month by contacting local businesses and offering to set up basic surveys for them, customer service surveys, data analysis, all sorts of things. Maybe they want to know if their new menu items are working, and for $50, you'll host that survey and do that for them, or a lot more, frankly. And it's just a really great thing to consider. So if you like surveys, if you find this enjoyable, there are lots of survey positions, whether that's working with the Census Bureau, working with government organizations, or working with any number of social media organizations that love to collect all that data on your phone. So this is a really great thing. There's great careers in it, and in general, all of you are going to now have that skill set having completed this lecture, so that at the end of your time at EKU, if you're going into the job market, you'll have the skill sets there to collect survey data, and it's a great job skill to have. So let's learn some basics behind what a survey is. So what is a survey? You've been doing surveys your whole life. You know what surveys are. They're a form of quantitative research where we ask predetermined questions from everybody. You have a survey that puts together that's around a particular topic, and you ask people those questions. And generally, the difference here between a interview, as we'll come to find out in a later lecture, and this is with a quantitative survey, you often have the survey as an online thing, or you mail them the survey, or you hand them a clipboard, and they fill that information out. You don't actually ask them the questions. They read them themselves, and then they answer by writing or entering their data through the computer. An easy question that's an example question for a survey would be, as we have on the screen here, what's your favorite ice cream? Let's talk about this for a moment, because you can see I've only got a couple of flavors there, chocolate, vanilla, and butterscotch, but I also put something else, so that qualifies for any other ice cream that you might like, or maybe you don't have a favorite ice cream, so that would be the answer E. Here we're covering all of the options. We fill out surveys all the time. They're a common part of how we experience our society and how we collect data about people. The cool thing is we can collect a lot of information in a very well-designed survey. For now, let's understand that surveys are really great because we can get a whole bunch of information from a sample. What's a sample, you say? Well, a sample is a small part of a population. Remember our pizza joke about the whole a pizza and a slice of the pizza? Well, the slice would be a sample. We don't have to talk to everyone. We can do a survey of a smaller part of that population and get a lot of great data. We can also use a few responses from that sample to represent lots of people. So we can have samples as small as 300 representing the entire state of Kentucky. They're cheap, they're quick. Online surveys are making things faster and faster, and mail surveys are a thing of the past. Now we pretty much are doing all of our surveys online. They also have applications that can match any topic that you need to measure, whether that's a needs assessment, just collecting data about use statistics, grievances, complaints, anything you can think of, we can collect through surveys. And the good thing is that 99% of the time we can quantify or put a numeric value on those responses. Surveys can also be weak because you're basically stuck with the data that you collect in a survey. You generally aren't giving people many different questions. We will learn of something we call the skip question or a logic question that lets certain people answer a certain question. But generally speaking, with a survey, you have one survey and people answer all or most of those questions depending on who they are. And one of the other things too is your questions can actually be flawed from the start. In fact, that's why we need to learn in our upcoming lectures about how to design survey questions so they measure what we really thinking they're going to measure and that they're valid. That's actually it for this first lecture. This is our first introduction to surveys. Again, keep in mind that surveys are a strength for sociologists, and they have a lot of strengths for data collection in the fact that they're quick turnaround and they're cheap and they're very effective. They're weak too in that you're stuck with the data that you collect, and also sometimes I see surveys that just have really bad questions that don't really mean anything. We'll talk about all these issues though as we go forward in our next lecture. If you have questions, if you have concerns, feel free to get in touch with me. Otherwise, I'll see you in our next survey lecture. Take care.